Hey there, welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel Q&A. My name's Doug. This week's special audio interview is with actress Sondra Currie. Sondra is someone I talked to, so we really wanted to cover those Hangover movies. She plays Alan's mom, which the abuse she got in a lot of those improv scenes from Zach Galifianakis is just so funny. But she plays a great role of Linda, so she had some great stories about landing that role and working with Todd Phillips and the rest of the crew and Bradley Cooper and Ed Helms. And man, so much fun about that. But her career has covered so much. She was like the queen, the go-to of the slice 'em dice 'em, as she calls them, movies of the 70s. Like all those revenge movies with the female lead, that started with her. So man, I love going back and watching those movies, picking her brain about how she started. Her mom was an actress before she was born. She came from a small town, the same town that Betty White was from, and her mom acted until Sondra was born. And then years later, Sondra gets into acting. One of her first movies is a John Wayne movie. She has a small role in that. And we talked about her amazing guest starring roles that she did over the years. She has some really cool behind the scenes stories about how those roles actually were supposed to have a huge arc and then they were cut short. And I'm talking about all the big shows. And then we talked a little bit about her sister, Cherie Currie of The Runaways, and so much more. Do me a favor before I start the interview, which is audio, but man, it's so good. So many amazing stories. Please subscribe. Click right here, subscribe so you don't miss out. Even do the bell thing. I don't know. People usually say it on their videos. I should know that more, but I don't. But what I do know is movie sequels, and I know amazing stories. And here's actress Sondra Currie with her amazing story. Enjoy. Subscribe. Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel Q&A. My name's Doug. So the next sequel that we're going to be reviewing, and our last sequel of our third year of podcasting, it actually lines up well. It's Hangover Part 3. Me and Jamie had a blast talking about it, and I had a blast talking with this week's guest, actress Sondra Currie. Sondra plays Linda, Alan's mom in the movie. So she had some amazing behind the scenes stories about, landing the role, working with Todd Phillips, Bradley Cooper, and then just having to endure the abuse from her little boy, Alan, Zach Galifianakis, and his improv. Man, the third movie, the abuse that she takes, well, you'll check out our review and hear that. But man, I love talking to Sondra because she grew up without even knowing that her mom was an actress. Her mom was from a small town in Illinois, same one that Betty White's from. And her mom came out to California, to Hollywood. She was determined to become an actress. And then from there, she became a mom, gave up acting. And Sondra had that in her blood all those years later. And Sondra is a go-getter. When you get to her origin story about her really just having that mindset of like, I want to do this, I love it. So we talked about her early roles, Rio Lobo, small role in a John Wayne movie, and then her slice 'em dice 'em movies in the 70s that she calls them. We talked about Jessi's Girls, Mama's Dirty Girls, Policewomen. She was just the queen of that genre. And then we talked about her amazing guest starring roles over the years, Three's Company, Magnum P.I., man, so many of those. Simon and Simon. Oh my God. And then the fact she met her husband, her now husband, who is a big time TV director. She meets him for an audition, which is such a cute story. I love those meet cute stories, and that's a great one. So it was great to talk to Sondra about her career and her sister Cherie Currie of The Runaways. So just a great chat overall. One thing I loved about talking with Sondra, she was very interesting in me. Asking about me, what I do, about my daughter, my wife. And she even said, say hi to your wife. That's So nice. She's so genuine. I love talking with her, and you're going to love hearing about her. So, what I want you to do is please subscribe wherever you're listening, and please rate us, share us, tell your friends. And without further ado, here is actress Sondra Currie.
Yeah, hi. Where are you?
I'm in New Jersey.
New Jersey, cold New Jersey.
Oh, it's cold right now. I'm in my shed, but I have a little, because my daughter's sleeping and I like to not be able to, I don't want to whisper. So.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have snow?
No, but we're getting it over the weekend. We're luckily in the west part of the state, so we're not going to get hammered. So hopefully it hasn't been bad. So I really can't complain. As a kid, we used to get hammered. My daughter really, last winter was her first like real snow. Other than that, the first 2 years was nothing.
Oh my gosh. It's, I'm a California baby, so it's just, I mean, just a little, it's fun to go play in. When we went back there, well, it's been years now, but we used to go a lot. And it was like the 2000, the whatever it was, the centennial something. And we went back and it was the first snowfall I'd ever seen. And we went out. Wow. I was like a little kid. I woke him up. I said, honey, it's snowing outside. And we went over to Central Park and played in the snow till there were icicles in my hair.
Oh, that's amazing. No, it's cool when you don't experience something and you have the chance to do it. And when I was talking to, which I didn't even know, because whenever I interview people, for the most part, I just talk about them. So when I talked to Robert Hayes, Bob, I didn't even know that he was married to your sister at one point. And
well, that's something that we talked about. I thought we talked about it because, oh my gosh, that's so wild. He's in Hawaii right now.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah.
No, but when I was telling him, because he was like, oh, Doug, where are you from? Because we had like a fun conversation for a while. And I go, I'm in New Jersey. And then he went into this, he filmed a movie here in the late 80s that got stuck in the can. I'm sure he's told you a million times. And he was telling me, he's like, I would love to buy it, but I don't even know where it is right now.
Yeah, he should. I mean, I talked to him. We came back from Maui 2.5 weeks ago, and then we both got COVID.
Crazy.
So, but we're done. We're on the outside of it now.
Good.
But I talked to him then. I haven't talked to him since he's gotten back. He's just living the lap of luxury in Oahu.
Yeah, that's great. So cool. What I like to do with these is just to find how people, got started in this crazy industry, because no matter what, it's one of the hardest jobs to do. The failure rate of, becoming an actor or working in any part of the film industry, so hard. So you grew up right in the thick of it. You grew up in LA?
I did. I'm a Hollywood baby. I was born at Cedars of Lebanon. That's actually where I think Bob was born there too. I'd have to double check on that. But it's I don't even know what it is now. But and then my mom was working and we were in Hollywood. And then I'm a Valley girl now.
Okay.
So I'm in Sherman Oaks.
So how did your mom was from like the Midwest, right?
She was from Oak Park, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Near Chicago, right on the outside of Chicago. So it's the same as Betty White. Betty White was from Oak Park too.
Oh, no way. And how did she end up coming to Hollywood? Was she acting then? Because she was an actress, right?
Yeah. She was determined and she was gutsy. I think that the only reason it seems like Cherie and I were even somewhat gutsy is, she put us to shame. She came out here at 18 years old. Wow. And just kind of didn't take no for an answer and got an agent pretty much right away. And she really started working. As a matter of fact, we were shocked because none of us girls, not Marie, nor Cherie, nor me, nor I, knew how fabulous she was, because she talked about it when I was young, but she didn't, she never kind of went on. We didn't see her work. And then maybe 20 years ago, TV Land started airing a lot of her stuff. And Alan and I were looking at it and we were going, wow. She was like 20, 21, 22. She was fabulous. She was so funny. She kind of just was innately funny. And she got a contract with Republic right away. And, she was really pretty interesting. As a matter of fact, Cherie even said, had she known Mom was so good and it was in our genetics, she would have probably worked harder at it herself. So.
No, I looked at your mom's IMDb and it was so cool reading about that she had a contract. She was like in a lot of Westerns. The movie posters then are just so cool because they're art, you know. Then they got to a point. There's still some studios that still do it, but even some of your cool ones from the 70s, they're like legit. When you look at them, they're like pieces of art. They're not just photos put together on a piece of paper.
That's true. The thing that was so funny, though, about my early I call them like slice and dice films, were that, in fact, in my office, sometimes I do interviews in my office, and in my office, I have some of the old one sheets up on my wall. And all of a sudden, I mean, this is a long time ago that I realized this, but there were two different films, both Policewomen and Jessi's Girls, that have the same character on the front of it. I mean, it's like one ripped the other one off. Exactly the same, holding the gun the same way, only one's dressed in Western garb and one's dressed as a cop. Yeah. So that's kind of funny. So.
And on Jessi's Girls, I watched that the other night. And
oh my God,
on that, watched it? It was on Tubi. I watched it. Yeah.
Was it the edited version or
it was not the edited version, but it was.
Doug.
I know. I wasn't expecting that. But because I always try to like watch people's films throughout their career, like things they worked on.
I told you to watch some other things other than that.
But anyway, on the poster, like you said, they were the same. Even on that poster, because Policewomen people loved it. It was known because on that poster they advertised it. They have your name and that movie on the Jessi's Girls poster.
I know. And that movie, wildly enough, there was an edited version without the nudity. And it was very, very popular. And it ran all the time on like Channel 13 in Los Angeles here. I think it ran at least 13 or 14 times. And in fact, my stepfather, who's gone now, my mom was married to him almost 30 years. He's a German, an extremely smart man, spoke multiple languages and all that. But the funny thing about it is that he would tease me about it was a comedy. And I said, Dad, did you look at that right? I mean, did you really see the same movie that we shot? And then he said, oh, it's a wonderful comedy. And I went, I don't think so.
So how did your journey begin? Did you know growing up? I know you said your mom talked about her acting. Like, when was the first time you had the inkling of like, hey, I want to give this a shot?
Truthfully, I don't think I ever had any other desire, mainly because my mom gave me every possible lesson when I was growing up. You know, I mean, I had tap and I had ballet and I had jazz and I had acrobatics and I had all that kind of stuff. And so I don't think that there was ever anything in my mind. I mean, I used to tease. I mean, and this is when I was thinking I was just a smart kind of super chick or something, that if I wasn't a actress, I would have been a gun moll. Well, that was long past gun malls. Or a psychologist. Well, I think that's pretty interesting because that's a psychologist. And, you have to be a little bit of that. But I started very young and I got lucky straight out of the box, too. I didn't realize how hard it was until later. Yeah. And my mother didn't help me. She didn't help me until way later when I had done a few things that she was happy with.
Wow.
And,
okay.
So she would be happy, and then she wanted to come on all the sets, and she did. She came on almost every set. If I was in Los Angeles, she came on everything. But I started working. I was going to a Catholic girls' high school, and then from Bing Crosby Productions, they used to send their scouts to Corvallis, but this was more to work in their fan mail department and things like that. So they'd sent somebody to our school, and there were 4 of us that got jobs. And one of the jobs that I got was working for the controller of the company. His name was Riff Rogers. And so I went to work there, and I was, I don't think I was even 18. No, I wasn't even 18 because I graduated when I was 17. And also next door was Columbia, and they had a thing called Film Industry Workshops, and Sally Field was in that at that time. So I started going down there after I got off work, and just I just kind of slid into it. It was later that I realized just how tough it actually. Well, it's tough, but if you want that passionately, it's not so hard, because anything you really, really want to do that's like that is I don't know that I can do it now, truthfully. The business has changed so much that it was much more personal then. And so anyhow, that's it. It was after that I kind of went, whoa, this is really not an easy deal. So that's kind of it,
So did you start just going on auditions, like when you were on the Columbia lot? Like, what was that first time that you got in front of a camera?
There was a guy who came around who was a manager, and came around and would pop in and see all of us girls as the little worker bees. And then afterward, and also there was a guy who was the cinematographer, the projectionist at the Encino Theater, and I had been a candy girl, and also I was actually a cashier also at one point. And I would go upstairs and talk to him all the time. His name was oh shoot, shame on me. Oh my gosh, and he directed that film too. It was a film I did. Terry Moore was supposed to do it. It was based on her story, and he replaced her. Jack, oh, shame on me. John Carr, that's what his name was. John Carr, Carr.
Oh, okay. So he was a projectionist, and you just happened to work with him years later?
I used to go up and just on my breaks, and we'd sit there and talk. And he actually was writing this film, and it wasn't all that bad, actually. And he got this guy that I'm trying to tell you, John Russell, that's who it was. John Russell to do the lead. And it was originally Terry Moore's script, because she originally did have an affair with her pool man, I guess. And she's part of the Actors Studio now too, which is funny. And I don't know that she's really put it all together, because she's kind of up there now. Yeah. But and I decided not to be so rude as to say I replaced her on a film a zillion years ago that was supposed to be about her, where she was cheating on her husband with a pool man. I decided not to do that. Yeah. But anyhow, so when he started getting that off the ground, and he lost her for whatever reason, I was going to do a smaller role in it, and he asked me to come in and read and talk about the lead role, and he was satisfied with that. So I went ahead and did that. And at that time, I also was hanging around with Howard Hawks quite a lot, because he wanted me to be this whole other kind of actress. So I would go up on top of the roof on my building, because he always wanted actors with low voices. And I would go up there, totally not recommending this to anyone, and I would go, ho, 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 and to drop my voice down, so that when I actually did a test for him, my voice was way low. And then when I went to Quinn Martin to work, the casting person was the mother of an agent that I knew. And years later, her mother had written, when she met me, she said, they make notes, when they come in. And she said, kind of tough with a very low voice, which I thought was hysterical. So, and this is me trying to really be a really grown up person.
I just heard a story about I just heard somebody else tell a story like that about someone, that every day when they drove to set, they would scream in their car, because for the role that they were doing, they had to have like a voice. I forgot who it was. It was somebody I just talked to, and I was like, really? That's crazy.
There are a few people that did that. I mean, think of the actors. I'm trying to even think the actors that really had the girl with the really almost like white blue eyes. She's not working anymore.
Yeah, so how did like Rio Lobo come out? Like, how did that come about? Like that first role in that John Wayne movie?
He was living in Palm Springs, but he also had an apartment in the same building that I had my first apartment in. And the only reason that I had that is at the Sunset Tower. And normally I would never been able to afford that building. It's up on Sunset. It's still the Sunset Tower now. It's gone through a couple of incarnations. And I met him in the elevator one day, and with, just fearless enough that I started a conversation with him, and we hit it off. It was great fun to listen to him. I didn't even really know that much about him. And my mother was the one who said she had tested for him one time. So that was kind of really fascinating. And and I did start to hang out with him quite a bit. I mean, I really kind of was probably infatuated. He was a lot older than I was. Yes. I mean, if you ever look him up. But he had great stories, and he always kind of seemed mildly amused. That's what I kind of, when Todd McCarthy was writing a book about him, he interviewed me. And I told him that, Howard kind of always get this glint in his eye anyway. And he even bought me a lot of clothes and whatnot because he wanted me to dress a certain way and to talk a certain way and all that. But when he was just got a smile on his face that was kind of just like he was amused. So now in hindsight, I think about that. I'm going, wait a minute, that was, I don't know how cool that was or not, but it was fun.
Yeah. No, just the chances of like just being in the elevator and being fearless and it really...
Fearless is a good quality, because of the what's going on in the world. Every once in a while, I get kind of overrun with fear, and then I'm going, fear knocked on the door. Faith answered it. No one was there, because it's paralyzing. Fear is not a good thing.
No, I know. And especially in this industry, I think you said it perfect before, like, if you want to make it, if you want it bad enough, and you have to have that fear, nobody's going to like come to you and be like, hey, you know what? You want to be a movie star? It's never like that. You have to engage that person to get to that. So how did, you said it before, slice them, dice them, that genre of those movies you're in. How did those come about? Like, what was the first one that you were, was that Class of 74? Was that like that genre of that or no?
Class of 74, I think, was the first one that came out. That John Carr film, which I'll tell you later what the name of that was. As I say, he's changed it. I think I even have a copy of it. That was, and then Policewoman, and I replaced a girl on Policewoman that ended up she was doing a Frankenheimer film, and so they had to replace her. I was backing her up. And then Jessi's Girls, and then I did a whole slew of them. I must have done 10 or 11 of them.
Wow.
They kind of just like, they start to snowball. So, when you're doing that kind of a film, they were coming to me, actually. It was kind of fortunate. And then I was starting to do television too. So, I did Mannix, and I did Adam 12, and I did...
Oh, yeah, all of them. And when you look at it, you worked on every show that my parents, like what I do with my daughter probably when she gets a little bit older, like showing the shows that you grew up on, but like, because my parents showed me TV Land, all those shows, like when I see on here, it makes me want to watch all of them, like The Odd Couple, and like even I didn't even know that Sanford and Son. I never knew there was a show just Sanford.
Yeah, there was Sanford and Son, and I think Sanford was the second one. I'm not even sure which one I did.
You did the second one. That's where I saw it, and I looked it up. Yeah.
Oh, I did a few of the Three's Companies, and John and I were friends. He was fantastic. He was just really, really fabulous. And Golden Girls, I'm so sorry that didn't continue. That was supposed to continue, but that wasn't so easy. It was fabulous working with Betty. I absolutely fell in love with her. And all the way up until just the last couple of years when she really, really was quite a bit older, I was so fond of her, and she was just great fun and a great person to be around. And I just wanted to grow up and be her. She was so inspirational, she really was. And she loved animals. I love animals. She just was really a fabulous lady. But that was supposed to continue. The Cheers I did was supposed to continue. The Three's Company, the last one, that was supposed to continue when I was the next door neighbor. And there were a whole slew of them that were supposed to go on. And either, they changed it or it didn't happen for one reason or another. Those are stories too.
Oh, you're telling me your roles? They said, "Hey, this is going to be like a 4-episode arc or anything."
Oh yeah, I mean, in Three's Company, I was the new next door neighbor. So
oh my god,
that was the very last season when they were going to spin it off. That was, and then I was the stepmother. Woody Harrelson's, I think it was his stepmother too, or whatever, or by marriage. Another one by marriage. That was supposed to continue, but then they were like the last seasons of a lot of them. Golden Girls did go on, but Rue and I were not meant to be in a series together, I think. Anyway.
No, I was going to ask you because I'm helping this actor, this guy Larry Hankin. He was on Friends.
I remember Larry Hankin. Larry Hankin actually did. I did a mini series that Larry Hankin was in. A Bible thing. It was called Heroes of the Bible.
Really?
I'm pretty sure he was in that. I'm pretty sure. Look that up. I'm pretty sure he was in that. He played one of the I don't know, one of the 3 shepherds or something.
Oh, really? I gotta look that up. No,
what
but
is he
had
doing?
Well, he's still at it. He's still writing. I'm helping him write a book. So, yeah, just helping him get his stories together because he's done a ton over the years. He started like doing improv in San Francisco, like in the 60s. And then he was at like Second City. And so he has a bunch of different stories. So I help him unravel him from his brain. So I watch the thing and like try to get him to remember stuff. But no, he's done with the book. It was pretty cool. But the thing that was fascinating for me when he was on Friends, it's not like he was on 3 episodes in a row. He was in like the first season, second, fourth, and fifth.
Was it the same character or a different character?
Same character. Yeah, he was the landlord. So he was the same character. He lived downstairs and he would always yell at them and stuff. So I was going to ask you because you were on a pretty hit show. You know, people still watch it and talk about it. Being on a show like those different times, like you were on 77, 81, and 84 in Three's Company. Did you notice like a change in those people? Because John Ritter was, what was he in 77? That was his first show, right?
Yeah, but John was always fabulous. In fact, John went on after that show went off the air and did a series my husband did. It was a hospital show. It was like Applebaum something or other at Fox. And he was really, he was so talented. And so when he passed on, that was pretty awful.
Oh, yeah.
But he never changed. The only one that really changed on that show was Suzanne. I mean, she dumped herself in that first season. And that was pretty awful. She never really recovered from that. I mean, she's gone on to have a kind of a career, but I don't know if it would have been the career that she really wanted. But she's the only one that really kind of took a dive. As far when I say took a dive, I have to clarify that where she just really thought the whole show was about her. And that's when she was really putting the squeeze on the producers and stuff. And they basically were saying, we can do this show without you. Yeah. And the second season, the second one I did, she was only coming in and none of the cast wanted to be on the same set with her. And so they were shooting her stuff separately, literally phoning it in. And then they replaced her. So Jenny Lee did it one season, and Priscilla Barnes did it a couple of 2 or 3 seasons, and Joyce always stayed the same. She was really pretty fabulous. I don't know anybody that's really changed. I'm trying to think outside of her. Even Peter Falk, I did a couple of the movies of the week with Peter Falk, but he's a really a diehard actor. It's different than when you're a diehard actor. He was an actor, a studio person, and really worked his tail off. Bradley's like that. Bradley Cooper's like that. He really is a working actor, working at his craft. And so that's how they were then at that time too.
Peter Falk, yeah. It's funny, like, you can think of him like, I never knew he went to actor studio, but obviously he has the chops, all the movies he's done over the air. But even towards the end, he was doing like funny off the wall comedies, playing like the serious dad. I remember one with like Chris Kattan when the family was in the mafia and he plays like this.
Oh, I got to see that. You got to
dad.
tell me what the name of that
Corky.
was.
It's called Corky Romano.
Corky Romano?
Sean Penn's late brother, Chris Penn's in it. Yeah, they play like this mafia family, and yeah, it's silly, but it was when Chris Kattan was at the height of SNL. That was like his one-off movie that he was able to do through that. But yeah, no, that's so fascinating. Just hearing about like the evolution of shows, and I think it's so cool when you're able to be on all these different sets over the years. Now, is that how you met your current husband? Were you on a set?
I did.
Really?
No, on an audition. In fact, it was on an audition a long time ago, and he had narrowed it down. It was during one of the strikes. Things happen you do things during the strikes that you might not really ordinarily do. And it was during a writer's strike, and he was doing a film that was going to be shot in the Philippines called, I even remember the name of it because I've told that story a few times, called Beauty Treatment. And he had narrowed it down to me and two women, who are, one's one of my very best friends now, and that's Lonnie Anderson. And the other one is a good friend, and still. And he narrowed it down to all three of us. And then the strike got settled, and the film wasn't made. So then I didn't see him again. He always says, to this day, he says, if you were to interview him, he'd say the same thing. I fell in love with her the first time I saw her. I'm going, yeah, nice. Fat chance I couldn't get an audition for him after that. And he goes, that's not the truth. And I'm going, well, you have your remembrance of that and I have mine. But then he was doing Scruples, which had a lot of women in it. It was a miniseries. And I couldn't even get an audition for that. Now, in all kindness to him, he said that he didn't choose the cast, that he came in, he replaced the director on that. So that's what happened with that. But then he was doing another thing during another strike in the early 80s, and I went in to read for that, and I didn't get that job either. And my agents called me and they said, we got a strange call from this director. And he said, but he wants to talk to you. You're not getting the role, but he wants to tell you personally. And I'm thinking, who is this person? So call him back in 45 minutes or whatever. So I waited longer, and he was trying to explain to me why I wasn't getting that role, which was he had cast as the lead guy, a really tall person, and I'm petite. I'm not tall. And so I was flip about it. I went, oh, don't worry about it. We'll have lunch sometime. Well, sure enough, when they finished shooting, he called me to have lunch. And that's how that whole thing started. And a couple of years later, we actually got together. And we've been together 30 some odd years now.
Wait, so you had lunch and then it wasn't for another few years that you guys started dating?
No, I mean, it wasn't, because I was still married to my ex-husband, Tony. So we had lunch and we became friends. And then Tony and I separated, I think the following summer, a year plus later. And Alan was kind of in the wings. So that's when we got together. And then we did a couple shows together.
Oh, you did? Okay. That's awesome.
We did Simon and Simon. I did a few Simons too. We did Simon and Simon. We did Magnum. And we worked together. I've lost count, but I think it's 15 or 16 times. I think he thinks it's more than that, but I'm not sure. I know, it's funny.
Yeah, no, I think it's so cool when people meet in this business. And I think, not saying that somebody in Hollywood, because there's a lot of people that are married to people that aren't in the business, but I feel like there's something that goes into it that maybe some people wouldn't understand, like what people go through in it. And I know some people are like, oh, well, they're actors, they do blank. It's like, it's a hard job. It is
really
insane.
A hard job. Not only that, honestly, Doug, it's a hard job. And you have to be really disciplined. People think, oh, well, you just you get up, you go to work, they just put your makeup on and stuff. But you have to really be with it. I mean, they used to talk about people who would be sloshed or be loaded or whatever. But you really can't have a steady career unless you're on top of it. And plus, you're up. When I have to get up and go to work, it's like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock if I'm lucky. And even these last couple of years, we've been sleeping fairly late. And even if they call me for an audition, I'm going, yeah, it's too early. I can't drive that far. So now I'm spoiled. I can't do it. But Yeah. And it's a very different career now. If you're telling someone now about a very different business, I still say study, study, study. If people ask, that's still hands down what you need to do, and do theater once we all open up again, and really get your feet wet out there. You got to get out there and do it, and do whatever you can. But you also have to really be committed. You can't just be sloppy with it.
No, you have to, because some people get that shot maybe because they're TikTok famous or social media famous, but it doesn't mean that it's going to last. Like, you've seen it with athletes or models that get like one-off movies or two movies, and then because they're not good, they're not going to last. Like Cindy Crawford, she's probably the nicest person in the world, but she had like the two or three movies, and it just didn't, the audience didn't gravitate to them. So then she didn't do any more. Now, you always did theater, like throughout, even when you were acting. Were you still doing stage?
I was, but I wasn't. They weren't really great big things where I had to work 5, 6, 7 shows a week.
Yeah.
I've always done theater here in Los Angeles. A couple times I've gone elsewhere, but generally the plays are like 4 days a week. It's still a big commitment, but it's not the same as if you're in New York having to do a show 7 days a week and a matinee 2 days. Yeah. So that's a whole other deal. Like, one of the people that I really love a lot, and I think I have a huge respect for him, is Bryan Cranston. And Bryan is really somebody who always is working. He's getting ready to do a play now in Los Angeles called something of the Sale. He's doing it at the Geffen. It opens the beginning of February. He never is not working. It's almost like he's like running as fast as he can to take advantage of everything. And he's hugely successful. Yeah. But he's doing that. He's doing another season of that one he did in New Orleans a couple of years ago.
It got renewed, The Judge?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I love that.
I loved it too. And I even said to him, when he said he was going to do, he said he's not doing it. I said, give me a break. It was so painful at the end. I could hardly watch it. And he goes, trust me, I'm not doing it again. And then his wife is a good friend, Robin. And she said, no, he's getting ready to do another season. And I said, you're kidding. I didn't think he wanted to do that. But he's actually the epitome of a working actor who's still, he does lead roles and things. He stars in big films. He stars in independent films. And I'd say Bradley's a lot younger than Bryan, but nevertheless, Bradley's like that. But he's been just doing a lot of features, but he's directing, so he's doing a lot too.
Yeah, Bradley's I think it was his birthday, but it was your birthday a few weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Happy belated birthday. But I saw...
Thank you, Capricorn.
It was Bradley's a few months ago, and I saw all these videos of him, and it's so cool. Or every time people share him on social media, because he went to the Actors Studio in New York, and he's asking these.
He went to Pace.
Yeah, and he's asking these questions during the James Lipton interviews, and I'm trying to think of who one of them was, but he stands up and he's very timid, but his question was mind blowing. I don't know if it was Tom Cruise, but it was such an in-depth question that it blew the person away.
I think I saved that. I have to look at that again. I think I saved it.
It's just what he does. And I think about those Hangover movies often because they're awesome. You're great in them. And the cast was perfect. And it's really wild when you think about, I'm not saying he wouldn't have went anywhere after those movies, but to go from a movie like that to the roles that he plays, it's pretty hard for actors to do that.
Yeah. And Todd Phillips, you have to give him a lot of credit also.
Exactly.
He's just brilliant. Yeah. And then he goes on to do something like The Joker. So, So when is your birthday?
October 5th.
October. Okay. I'll put that on my book for next year.
Libra. That's very easygoing.
I don't think so.
No,
my mother was a Libra.
Oh, no.
October 21st. You can't really call her easygoing. No, that's not it. So, what do you do? Are you doing this every day now? What are you doing?
Do what? These?
Yeah, no, as far as life in general.
What do? I work from home. I got my accounting degree. Hopefully, going to get an accounting job soon, a remote, because I want to be home just like most people. And I got
Yeah.
my 3-year-old daughter at home, and another one on the way in July.
Oh my gosh, so you are busy, busy.
Yeah.
3-year-old and another one on the way. Okay.
Yeah. My wife's a busy one. My wife's a 7th grade English teacher, so she has to deal with all
Really?
those kids while being almost 4 months pregnant. So
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's fascinating being an English teacher. Truthfully, we had a close friend who was the dean of a school here, but his specialty was English. And I, even when he moved back to England, I would be on the phone going, is it I or we or them or they? All those tricky English words that kids don't really, now it's accepted to really say a whole lot of other things, but it wasn't always, because I was taught by the nuns and that was a whole other deal. So I'll just say hi to her sometime.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So then we have, like I was saying, and I think it's on your IMDb. There's just so many of these shows that you were on over the years, like Murder She Wrote. Like you mentioned before, there was Columbo, Family Matters. I think it's so great. Like obviously, people can be on a show for 30 years or something. I think it's so great when you can go from like set to set and form all these different connections with all these people. Because I think that's what the business is that people don't think about too, is like the connections and like knowing people from different sets or auditions.
Yes, definitely. I think that, that's usually a really positive thing. Occasionally, it doesn't work quite that well because sometimes people don't want to. There's a lot of pressure when you really are close to somebody or friendly with someone.
That's
So
true.
they don't want to even put themselves in that position. But a lot of times it does work. So you know what? I'd rather be friends or friendly than not.
Yeah.
So I think that you're right. It's better to be friends than not. So, but the kids today, the young people that want to be actors, really don't have a lot of options to meet people anymore.
Yeah.
Probably different in features, but as far as casting people, we used to be able to go to the studios with our agents or our managers or whatever, and they would walk us around and introduce us to all the new casting people. And sometimes someone would really take a liking to you and they would bring you in a lot, or they would pre-read with you, so you had a kind of a sixth sense about what was going on. And it's not like that anymore. It's very impersonal with all of the Zoom stuff and the EchoCast, and I mean it's really not easy. Now maybe it's not easy because I'm of the old school and I don't really know how to do that so well. It's just impersonal. You don't have that connection to
Yeah.
be able to work with
Exactly.
someone.
No, I think even before everything that's happened, I think it turned to that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like from some people that I've talked to, I always like asking that question. If people have been doing this hard job for like such a long time and be sticking with it too, and I think that's like exactly what I thought you were gonna say. It was like the connections of it. Like when I talked to Bob, he was telling me his agent in the beginning would take him on the audition
Exactly.
and be like, hey, this is the guy. Like, here's the photos. And he's like, I actually have him with me. And he'd like walk around with him. And yeah, you don't have that chance of somebody just having that feeling about somebody because all it is a video and you're looking at something.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that they can't give you adjustments, really. I mean, occasionally, hangovers I got. Well, now I take that back. I didn't get that by an EchoCast. I actually went in, but it was a filmed audition. I didn't meet them. They were already shooting when I got that job. But at least you had somebody in the room with you, whereas now you don't. So unless they want to call you back in and you go in to meet the producers or the directors or whatever, you don't. It's your idea of what that particular role should be, and they could want it to go 180. So it's a crapshoot at that point. So
No, it is. So how did the hangover happen? Like you're saying they were already shooting that movie?
Yeah.
Did they just not have that role lined up, or?
No, they were in Vegas filming already. I think that they were already like a week or 2 weeks into it. And this role was not starting until October. And so I went in over Labor Day weekend. And the casting people, it was Seth Yankovic, and who was the woman? Jewel Bustrop, I think. I read with them, and I didn't hear anything for like 3 weeks. And my manager at that time, because a lot of it wasn't on paper, so they wanted you to. They had kind of a scene plan, but you could riff on it a bit. And I didn't hear until 3 weeks later that I'd gotten that role. And then I read the script, and the script was just laugh out loud funny. I sat on our bed and I thought, this is really going to be a hit. And I had looked up the director. Todd had done not a lot, but a couple of 2 or 3 films before that. And I kind of just wanted to meet him too, because my people had said, look, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to go. It doesn't look like it's all that much and all that kind of stuff. And I went, nah, I have a feeling about this one. And so I did go. And that was the first one. So no one was a star at that point.
Oh, I know.
And he was really cool. And I told him, I said, I have a sixth sense about this. There's something, I'm telling you, I laughed out loud when I read the script. And so he started to kind of think of me a little bit as his lucky charm. So he wanted all of us in every film after that. Even the second one where he called and he said, it's really not much. I said, I don't care. It's fine. And Jeffrey and I think only did one scene, or I think that's all it was in the second one. We didn't go to Bangkok, which is everybody else had gone to Bangkok. And
yeah, I think it was just when they came to pick up Alan was like the only part you were in the second one. I think that was it.
That's probably right, because I haven't seen the second one in a long time. But what I was going to say is on the first one, the fun of it was everybody was still very connected. Nobody was avoiding anybody, and no one had to go hide out any place. And so we were all texting, or not texting, emailing back and forth at that time. And we were in Europe, and I don't remember what Todd was. We were all in different time zones, and we were getting these texts going, do you believe it? It's like this 4th month, the 5th month, the 6th month, the 8th. It was in theaters from when it opened in May until December. So, wow. and it was really those kind of pinch me moments where you go, wow, this is really fabulous. No matter what, it was fabulous. And then he did the second one. And, it was all right. It's hard to, when you have something as successful as the first one, it's hard to really come up with something on the second one. And then the third one really read well. I mean, we were cast from the beginning to the end of it. And we were supposed to start in September and not end up until Thanksgiving. And I don't know exactly what happened. Truthfully, I never had a heart-to-heart with Todd about that, but all of a sudden, my people got a call, and everybody else, the whole ending, he changed up the entire ending, and it was going to take a week to shoot, and we all got a call saying it wasn't going to happen. And I mean, I was heartbroken because I hadn't even had a chance. I shot the beginning and whatever was in the middle or whatever, and then the ending, we didn't have a chance to say goodbye. I was really, that was such a disappointment. And then when I saw it, I thought, wow, I felt they made a big mistake. Well, of course, I thought they made a mistake. I wasn't there, and everybody else wasn't there either. But I didn't think that the ending really worked so well. And the humor, it was so funny. The way it was going to end was so funny. And then it just, I don't know. But, whatever. I think that either someone must have gotten to him saying, you got to change this up, because it was a kind of a takeoff on the first ending, but it was way more extravagant than the first ending. So one of these days I'll have to find that and tell you what it was, but it was pretty good. He had circus animals in it.
That's why circus animals in the end of it?
Yeah, he had a whole, a huge ending. It was going to take a week to shoot. So,
oh my gosh. No, that's why I love doing sequels. Like growing up in New Jersey, it's not like I think my mom was a waitress. My dad was a garbage man. So like he would find cool stuff that people throw out. Wow. And he would find like sequels all the time. So that's why I thought of this idea. And you're right. When you have a movie that is kind of perfect, The Hangover, I think not only did it have 2 sequels, there's so many movies that are like it. It almost started like this bachelor party like genre of going away for a bachelor party. There's so many straight to DVD or straight to, on demand movies like that. But no, the third one, what I like about it is just your interaction. It seemed like you got to play more with like Zach, and I don't know, there's some of the lines he says, he's very mean to you.
He is mean. He's so mean.
Yes.
I mean, and I've said that a few times. I said, what happened here? You know, I mean, he was just, and these are coming off the top of his head. This is not in the script. I'm saying, what happened here? Why are you so mean to me? And even at the funeral,
yes,
he's coming down and saying, don't say that.
No, at the funeral he says he wishes that you would die.
Yeah. And all of us went, I mean, that wasn't in the script. Like my mother, that wasn't in the script. I mean, at all. He was just nasty. You think you could, the second one, he was a little nasty too. I actually think he should have been nicer for a number of reasons, but I don't know why he went on that tack with it, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, so was there, I know Todd does let a lot of people riff. Was there a lot of riffing with the script?
Not with us. I mean, when I say with us, we're more like after it really became a huge hit, he kind of let the guys riff. Zach would riff. I mean, he could wrangle him back in, but
yeah,
it pretty much stuck to the script because it was in the second. No, it was the third one. I was kind of, I knew my lines and all this kind of stuff, and he actually had a little moment there where he said, you got to know your lines. You got to know your lines. And I said, I know my lines. And he goes, no, you don't. And I went, whoa. And it was that kind of like chastising where I went, whoops, he's not in such a good mood today. Or maybe I don't know my lines as well as I should. So I had to know my lines, but some of the others didn't have to always know their lines. So,
yeah, that's so cool that you had a feeling. Your manager says, yeah, there's this movie with these guys, and you had a feeling, and look where it went.
Yeah.
Because all the movies grossed a ton of money. I'm sure, I know the first one, I feel like the third one even did very well.
Oh, trust me. I think that we all did. Even the low kids on the totem pole. Yeah. Everybody did pretty well with residuals on that one. It was really, yeah. So anyhow, I just, I haven't talked to Todd or seen him in a long time, but I love him. I think he's so extraordinary, and I hope Life is Sweet. He made some really good choices on that as far as having the courage to have that cast, because Warner Brothers wanted more of a name cast, and he stuck to his guns, and he made $1 gazillion on it. So, I hope he's happy. I just haven't connected with him in a while. I have to try to maybe do that once we get all of the world straightened out a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. When studios like meddle, even in TV shows or movies, like if they want certain people, but I couldn't see anybody else play Alan. Like Bradley Cooper is perfect. Even at that point, I couldn't even tell you. He was in, I think Todd might have directed Wedding Crashers. I don't know. But
he did Bradley do something was in like that.
Yeah, because Bradley was in that, and then I couldn't even tell you what he was in just before The Hangover. But even Ed Helms was only in season 4 of The Office. So like all of these people, you're right, for a big movie that probably had a decent budget.
Well, he said he could bring it in for X amount of dollars if they would let. He promised them. He made a deal with them that he would bring it in for X amount of dollars if they would let him cast who he wanted to cast, and he did. He brought it in way below what you think a film like that would cost, and that's what he really had a lot of courage of his convictions and guts to do what he needed to do, and it made a fortune. It was just one of those serendipitous things.
No, this is so much fun. Thanks so much for connecting and sharing your story with me. I love hearing about how people start it. I think it's so fascinating, no matter what, even with growing up in the thick of it. But it's so cool hearing that your mom was so determined and it was passed on to you and your sisters for sure, right?
Yeah. And as I told you, even talking to Cherie, that would be good for you to do since you talked to Bob already. She's got.
Oh yeah, did you tell her that? How random is that? That I knew I worked with a guy in Oregon for 3 months, and he posted on his like Instagram or Facebook. I'm like, wait, that's not you. And I'm like, oh my God, what are the chances?
Yeah, isn't that wild? Yeah. And Jake is here. Jake is doing great. He's actually playing the whiskey. The whiskey.
Cool.
Wait. No, he's not playing the whiskey. He did that already. He's playing the Troubadour, which is a very famous place, the end of February. So I don't know if Bob's coming in for that or not. I have to find out.
Does he act too, Jake?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there was just a film that I had to do an audition for when we were in Maui, and there was the lead guy. He did a film that was about Ted Bundy, and he had a really great role in that. And he's a redhead. Everybody always thought he was my kid, and he's darling. You got to look him up. And so he did an audition for that. And I don't know if they were able to get it off the ground because of the circumstances with Omicron and whatever. So I don't know what happened with that.
So we get the acting from Dad and the
music from Mom. Yeah. And he's very, very a talented artist. And he's really, Trevor is too, but Trevor's not an actor. Trevor is Marie's son, Steve Lukather's son. Jake's a more all-around kind of artist, but he's cool. You have to he did a great job in that film. I mean, I didn't really like the film because I don't like the story so much.
Yeah.
He did a really good job. So.
I'll look it up. No, I saw a photo of him and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's Robert. Like earlier today, I had to look it up and I'm like, oh my God.
He does. As a matter of fact, Alan's really taken with him because he's so creative and all of that. And Alan thinks he looks like a young Robert Redford, a redheaded Robert Redford.
Oh yeah.
So I think he's going to go places. For him, it's more focused. And right now he's focused on his music. So he's doing gigs around town and stuff.
That's sweet. Well, it's cool. He has supportive people close by that can push in the right direction. And there's no big time redhead male leads right now. So
no, and not handsome ones either. There's kind of kooky ones, but he's really a handsome kid. So and you can tell I'm his proud aunt, or auntie. They both call me auntie.
Auntie. Well, thank you so much. I'll let you go. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh, Chuck, that's a pleasure. It was great talking to you, too. Say hi to your wife and say hi to Larry. Double check if that's right, Larry.
Man, Sondra, even at the end, she would love to say hi to my wife sometimes. She's just so genuine. I love talking to her. She was such a blast. And yeah, the fact that we had that little bit of a connection, my buddy that I only worked with, when I lived in Oregon, of years ago, he is doing like an exclusive autograph thing for Cherie Currie. And what are the chances that we're both connecting with one of the Curries, at the same time? But thank you, Sondra. And so don't forget your homework, Hangover Part 3. Me and Jamie just recorded the review today. So much fun. You're going to love it. And it's free on HBO Max, and I'm sure you can rent it on all the outlets for like $2.99 or $3.99. Definitely worth it. Different than the first two, but a good different. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast, follow us on all social media at Sequels Only, and don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.